is something you need to work in, and we can do that together. I would love for you all to take a moment of silence for all those who have passed away through this COVID-19, and also for all those frontiers who are helping us, who are there for us. So let's take just a moment, a minute, to just remember them, a moment of silence for them. For being here today. Please be patient with us and tell us if you need anything. You can raise your hand. I know it's all very weird. It's a virtual world, but it's something that we need to get used to, and it's new. It's always good to learn something new. And 𝗛𝗲𝗏 has been a person who's always been with us, who's always been in every event we've had. I would love to introduce to you Tunes. And I think one of the things that we can think about today is healing the world together, for you and for me. Thank you.
My heart. ما شاء الله. العرض جدا جدا لمس قلبي، حتى الحين ما قادرة أتكلم. نحن كلنا نمر بهذا الظروف أكيد، والأغنية كثير لمست قلوبنا شيء أكيد. أولاً نشكر تيونز على عرضهم، هم دائماً معنا في كل الملتقيات. وأكيد نشكر جناب السيدة بسمة آل سعيد على تقديمهم لنا، وهي طبعاً خبيرة في الصحة النفسية لمدة 20 سنة، وهي مؤسسة عيادة همسات السكون وحملة نحن معك للتوعية بالصحة النفسية، وهي أخصائية نفسية مختصة في العلاج السلوكي والعلاج بالتنويم الإيحائي. عبد الله، كيف شفت العرض؟
والله it touched me يا أخي. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. Yeah, it's such a beautiful song by Michael Jackson. I remember hearing it in the past during a difficult time as well. And yeah, when it was played today, it served its purpose. Like, we were all touched. Our emotions are all over the place. Very beautiful performance by Tanai and Tunes. Thank you so much, and thank you to Sayyida Basma for introducing them. That was an amazing performance. Thank you so much, Allah. Thank you. Back to you.
والحين أولاً نحن نشكركم على انضمامكم معنا، وحابين نذكركم إذا في أي مشكلة ممكن تضغطوا على زر participants، وهناك في زر مكتوب raise hand، وممكن يتواصلوا معاكم. الحين موعدنا مع صاحبة السمو الملكي الأميرة خلود آل سعود، وهي مؤسسة فريق الخلود التطوعي وناشطة بالمجال التطوعي وإعادة التدوير والاهتمام بالبيئة.
All right. First of all, before I introduce our keynote speaker of the day, I would like to humbly inform all the speakers lined up for today and all the moderators to please raise your hand in the participants toolbar so that it's easier for us to unmute and start your video. And now, introducing our first keynote speaker, Her Royal Highness Princess Khulud Al Saud. She is a philanthropist, and she has many charity organizations and charity initiatives. And she is also working in terms of environmental recycling. And we are really, really, really honored and happy that she's here with us today.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can everybody hear me? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Healing for me is a process that needs to take time in order to be able to live, love, and give. Healing.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. صراحة أنا أشكر أول شيء جمعة مباركة مثل ما أختي بسمة تفضلت، وأرجع وأقول لكم يعطيكم ألف عافية على هذا الشغل الجميل وعلى هذا اللقاء الأجمل. بإذن الله أننا نقدر نوصل للغرض الأساسي اللي إحنا كنا نبغى اليوم نحكي عنه، وهو healing، التعافي. أنا قلت يمكن in my short video, healing for me is a process that needs time in order to live, love and give. صحيح التعافي هو طريق أو سلوك طريق يمكن أن يكون قصير، يمكن يكون طويل، ولكن بهذه الستبس أو البروسيس اللي إحنا قاعدين نعملها نوصل إلى الحب، ونوصل إلى العطاء، نوصل إلى التعافي. جدا جميل الأغنية أو تيونز في أغنية مايكل جاكسون فيها كان السلام peace love. فعلا الإنسان لازم يراجع نفسه الآن ويشوف أهدافه ويعرف إن هو he's not alone, there's always people around him. and ما شاء الله أشكر السيدة بسمة وكل الحضور بس هي دائما مبادرة and she's always like always before us. So as we say and as I say, healing for me is a process. يمكن إنها تطول, it could be short or long, but we'll get there at the end of the road by being better, being caring, being more loving to one another. يعني نكون محسنين. This is healing for me. بالنسبة لناس كثيرة healing المعافاة محتاجة وجود أحد جنبك. فسيرينيتي ما شاء الله إحنا كلنا موجودين وعلى ما أعتقد اليوم we are not alone. We have so many participants and key speakers and doctors and influencers that will help us in our journey, in this journey of life that we take in order to heal ومثل ما قلنا in order to let's say نتعافى بإذن الله. صراحة thank you very much. I wish I could talk more about healing, but I'm sure that there's a lot of participants that would like to give more information. عشان أنا كمان I would like to follow that route for healing and follow that route in these days of the COVID-19 virus that we all are suffering from. Let's hold each other's I was just going to say let's hold each other's hands, but before that let's نعقم يدينا ونقعد في البيت. I really hope that this time we'll reflect on it and see that we actually healed ourselves during this pandemic and helped everybody together in feeling not being alone. So really, we're not alone, and I am not alone. I always feel I'm surrounded with people that love me, care for me. Therefore, I process myself every day, كل يوم, عشان أوصل للتعافي or healing. الإحسان بمعنى كامل أو أتم خلينا نقول.
شكراً لصاحبة السمو الملكي الأميرة خلود آل سعود. طبعاً لكل من انضم معنا في ملتقى تعافي لغد جديد، شكراً على انضمامكم. بس الحين بنتوقف لمدة 15 دقيقة لفترة الصلاة، وأكيد راجعين. تقبل الله مقدماً.
Thank you so much, Your Royal Highness, Princess Khulud Al Saud, for that wonderful talk. Now we are going to proceed into our first break of the day, which is the prayer break. So we will take 15 minutes and then we'll be back to continue our program, inshallah. تقبل الله منكم صلواتكم. We'll see you, inshallah, after 15 minutes.
Inshallah.
Thank you.
تقبل الله منا ومنكم صالح الأعمال. رجعنا لكم من جديد وشكرا للي موجودين معانا، ونتمنى إنه ما حد يطلع علشان تكونوا دائما يعني تحضروا معانا الفعالية اليوم. إذن موعدنا الحين مع صاحبة السمو الدكتورة تغريد آل سعيد، وهي أستاذ مساعد بقسم علم النفس في جامعة السلطان قابوس، وأيضاً مؤسسة ومالكة مركز وحضانة كتابي جليسي، وعضوة في حملة نحن معك.
Welcome back everyone from your break. Hope you're all feeling amazing. We are going to continue with the program right now, and next in the line we have Her Highness Dr. Tagreed Al Saeed, and she will be carrying on the panel discussion that's going to come up soon. She's going to be the moderator. Dr. Tagreed is the assistant professor of the psychology department in SKU. She's also the founder and the owner of My Book and Me Nursery, and she's also a very vital part in the Not Alone campaign.
التعافي هو أن نتقبل ما مضى ونتطلع بإيجابية وثقة نحو القادم.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته جميعاً. أتمنى أنه صوتي واضح والكل يقدر يسمعني. جمعة مباركة عليكم جميعاً، وشكراً لتواجدكم معنا في الملتقى الثالث للصحة النفسية، والأول في العالم الافتراضي مثل ما قالوا بقية الفريق وسبقوني إليه. فشاكرين لكم حسن تعاونكم وتفهمكم معنا وصبركم، محتاجين صبركم معنا، لأنه مثل ما تعرفوا التقنية مرة تكون في صفك ومرة تكون ضدك. فإن شاء الله مستمتعين إلى الآن، وعندنا مزيد من المتحدثين اللي إن شاء الله راح يمتعونا في 10 دقائق لكل شخص، وهذه تعتبر الجلسة الأولى في افتتاحية الملتقى اليوم. وبعد ذلك إن شاء الله حيكون عندنا متحدثين أكثر، وبكرة بإذن الله تعالى أيضاً حيمتعونا متحدثين آخرين بقصصهم وبكيفية نمضي جميعاً مثل ما قلنا وقالت أختي العزيزة جناب السيدة بسمة في رحلة التعافي هذه. فحياكم الله. بس أحب أنوه إنه الأوراق كلها هذه أو المتحدثين اللي معانا اليوم حيكون كله باللغة الإنجليزية. بنحاول إذا في وقت إنه نحن بين واحد والثاني إني أقول لكم ملخص سريع، وبإمكانكم تستخدموا الشات اللي موجود عندكم عشان تحطوا أي مداخلات، كيف ألهموكم، أو حتى أسئلة إذا يقدروا يجاوبوا بعدين عليها بيجاوبوكم عليها بإذن الله تعالى. Hello everyone, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us and being here in our third forum for the mental health, and it's our first virtual one. So thank you very much for your cooperation and your patience and understanding. It was a lovely start this morning with all of you with us, and we hope inshallah it will go as smooth later on. Stay tuned, enjoy it. We have more speakers to come. This is our first panel for this event, and I would like to welcome the 4 panelists that I've got with me here. I'll start with 𝗛𝗲𝗹𝗶 from Egypt, and 𝗛𝗲𝗹𝗶 then I have 𝗛𝗲𝗹𝗶 from Oman. I've got Sayyid Mundhir Bousaidi from Oman, and I've got James Sales from all the way from the UK. Thank you so much for being with us. 𝗛𝗲𝗹𝗶 will start off in 10 minutes, please. And as I mentioned to all the participants, please use the chat to write any comments. How did they inspire you? If you'd like to ask them questions, I will try to take 1 question for each panelist. We won't be able to cover all, of course, because we've got 10 minutes of presentation, and we'll leave 5 minutes at the end for them to answer questions, but they will be around if they wish to answer any further questions or to write anything back. You can all use the chat. We request you to keep all the mics and the cameras on stop and to unmute your mics at all times, please. And I'll start with 𝗛𝗲𝗹𝗶 for 10 minutes. 𝗛𝗲 is a drama therapist, and she will be our first panelist speaker for today. 𝗛𝗲 تفضلي معانا. Can you unmute? تفضلي. Great. 10 minutes.
صباح الخير وكل سنة وانتم طيبين. أحب أبدأ الكلام بتوجيه الشكر لصاحبة السمو السيدة بسمة آل سعيد. بشكرها على دعوتي إني أكون معاكم النهاردة، وبشكر كل فريق العمل على المجهود الجبار اللي معمول خلال الفترة اللي فاتت عشان الويبينار يطلع بالشكل الجميل ده. النهاردة هنتكلم عن Mirror in Time of Crisis، أو استخدام المراية كحاجة تورينا نفسنا خلال الأزمة اللي احنا بنمر بيها حاليا بسبب فيروس كوفيد. As a trauma therapist احنا دايما بنستخدم أدوات فيها إبداع خلال الجلسة العلاجية النفسية. من الأدوات اللي بنستخدمها role playing, embodiment, storytelling, mask making، ومن الحاجات المفضلة بالنسبة لي وبحبها جدا فكرة الميتافور والسيمبل أو الكناية والرموز. فالنهاردة أنا استخدمت التوبيك بتاعنا إن هو يكون المراية ككناية أو كميتافور هستخدمه عشان أشوف نفسي. كل واحد فينا قبل ما بينزل بالبيت بيقف قدام المراية بيشوف هو لبسه، شكله، محتاج يزود حاجة، محتاج يشيل حاجة. احنا هنستخدم النهاردة الفيروس كوفيد إن هو مراية، وأنا حابة إن أنا يعني to invite you all to join me in this exercise. احنا هنعمله كأنه تمرين إن احنا to gain awareness, self-awareness about what's happening inside us، أو إن إحنا نتفرج على نفسنا من خلال الفيروس ده لو أنا هستخدمه كمراية ليه. لو قدامكم ورقة وقلم، يعني I would invite you إن تكتبوا أو تقسموا الصفحة ل4 أجزاء، لأن هنشتغل أو هنبص على 4 مستويات، أو هنستخدم الكوفيد إن هو يساعدنا إن إحنا to observe and reflect about ourselves من خلال ال4 مستويات دول. هنبتدي بالمستوى الجسدي، المستوى النفسي، المستوى الفكري، والمستوى الروحاني أو السبيريتوال. طبعا هنشوف إزاي الكوفيد طلع من جوانا حاجات إحنا ما كناش واخدين بالنا إنها موجودة. ناس كتير بتتكلم إن الكوفيد حط جوانا الفزع أو زرع جوانا الخوف. أنا ضد كلمة إن الكوفيد زرع جوانا. هو الكوفيد شال اللي كان مستخبي أو شال الغطاء عن حاجات إحنا ما كناش شايفينها، بدليل إن في ناس استخدمت فترة اللوك داون أو الفترة اللي إحنا بنمر بيها كفترة إبداعية. بدأوا يكتبوا، يرسموا، ياخدوا كورسات أونلاين، يطوروا من نفسهم. في مجموعة تانية اتجهت اتجاه الخوف أو الفزع، أو ابتدى يبقى فيه أنجر، أو ابتدى فيه مشاعر سلبية كتير طلع. فده دليل قوي إن اللي جوانا بيطلع نتيجة البريشر اللي بنتعرض له. اللي جواه إبداع هيطلع، اللي جواه خوف هيطلع. الهدف من ده أو الهدف من التمرين ده إن أنا استخدامي للكوفيد كمراية إن أنا أشوف إيه اللي عندي واشتغل عليه من الجذور. يعني لو أنا في خوف طلع أو في insecurities طلعت، محتاج إن أنا أروح أبص ده سببه إيه. محتاج إن أنا أسيك psychological help، أنا أروح أشوف ناس تساعدني، ناس تجايدني خلال رحلة العلاج، أو إنها تساعدني إن أنا أحتوي المشاعر دي. هنرجع تاني لل4 مستويات باختصار، واحنا طبعا النهارده بنستخدمهم كطريقه ان انا اعمل اسسمنت صغير لنفسي، اشوف ايه اللي طالع منه او الريزلتس بتاعتي ايه، واقدر اخدها بعد كده ان انا اتوجه لهيلب او بروفيشنال هيلب من خلال احدى الاخصائيين او المعالجين في العلاج النفسي. اول مستوى هو المستوى الجسدي. هبص الكوفيد وراني ايه؟ وراني أنا مناعتي أخبارها إيه، صحتي عاملة إزاي، طريقة أكلي هل أنا محتاجة أغيره، شربي للمية، بشرب مية كفاية خلال اليوم، محتاج أبص أنا فين على المستوى الفيزيكال بتاعي. تمام؟ وأشوف إيه الخطوات اللي محتاج أعملها. يعني مبدئياً هبتدي أبص إيه اللي عندي، ايه اللي ناقصني، ايه اللي محتاجه ازوده، وايه اللي محتاجه اقلله. ممكن الاقي ان انا باكل سكريات كتير، باخد فات كتير، فده بيأثر على مناعتي، فمحتاج ان انا ابتدي اغير الهابت دي. تاني مستوى هو المستوى النفسي، وهو طبعا مستوى مهم جدا بالنسبه لنا كدكاتره يعني في التخصص النفسي، وخصوصا في الدراما ثيرابي. هبتدي اشوف واسال نفسي سؤال: what am I carrying? What are my feelings now in the here and now? I can even ask السؤال ده every day. أعمل check in مع نفسي. أنا فين؟ مشاعري أخبارها إيه؟ أنا شايل إيه؟ هل أنا شايل مشاعر فيها إبداع؟ فيها أمان؟ فيها سلام؟ ولا أنا شايل insecurities، فزع، خوف، anger؟ هبص كمان اللوك داون عمل إيه؟ في ناس اللوك داون كانوا مضطرين إن هم يبقوا قاعدين لوحدهم في البيت. أعادي لوحدي، طلع إيه من جوايا؟ أعادي مع أهلي، طلع إيه برضو؟ أعادي مع مراتي في البيت لما ما بروحش الشغل عمل إيه؟ أو أعادي مع جوزي في البيت لمدة 3 شهور، الانتراكشن والدايناميك ما بيننا عامل إيه؟ إيه اللي محتاجين نشتغل عليه؟ الكوميونيكيشن أخبارها إيه؟ كل دي أسئلة محتاجين نبص عليها على المستوى النفسي، ونقول لنفسنا إن إحنا مسؤولين عن المشاعر اللي إحنا بنمر بيها، إزاي أشتغل عليها، إزاي أغيرها، إزاي أروح أبص على الروتس بتاعت المشاعر دي. يعني لو أنا عندي insecurities، إيه جذور الانسكيورتيز دي عندي؟ طبعا ده بحتاج فيه إن أنا أكون مع أخصائي نفسي يساعدني في الرحلة العلاجية دي، أو يساعدني في احتواء المشاعر دي ومعرفة أسبابها وجذورها. المستوى الثالث هو المستوى الفكري، وطبعا زي ما احنا عارفين إنه أفكارنا هي اللي بتسبب مشاعرنا. يعني المشاعر عشان تشتغل لازم يبقى فيه فكر، في صورة في دماغي، في أفكار شغالة في دماغي. في أفكار بتبقى generated from inside، وأفكار بتبقى جاية من بره. بتفرج على حاجة، قاعد على السوشيال ميديا بالساعات وعمال أسمع الناس والقلق والانكزايتي اللي حاصلة أو حواليا، فبالتالي أبتدي أتأثر. محتاج أسأل نفسي أو أبص على مراية الكوفيد وأقول أنا دماغي متغذية إيه؟ What am I feeding my mind daily? Am I feeding my mind with creative ideas, creative thoughts, or am I feeding myself with anxiety and fear? وده
Angie, are you with us? كانوا صار في بوز كده glitch. Can't hear you.
على الأخبار قد إيه؟ لأن في ناس طبعاً بيحصل، أو الفترة دي بدأنا نشوف من خلال طبعاً الجلسات العلاجية إن في ناس بقى عندها binge eating and binge watching. البينج واتشنج ان انا ممكن اقعد بالساعات قاعد قدام النيوز، باخد نيوز دي كلها طبعا حاجات نيجاتيف بتاثر على الجهاز العصبي والجهاز الفكري. اخر حاجه هو المستوى الروحاني، انا حاطاه في الاخر بس انا بشوف ان هو اهم مستوى، لان المستوى ده لو ضعيف المستويات الثالثه هتبقى ضعيفه معانا. مستوى روحاني محتاج ابص واشوف من خلال مرايه الكوفيد ومن خلال الفتره اللي احنا قاعدين فيها دلوقتي انا فين من المستوى الروحاني وفي التواصل الروحاني بتاعي. من خلال اي براكتس، كل واحد عنده البراكتس بتاعه ودي حاجه خاصه وليها احترامها وليها الخصوصيه بتاعتها. هل انا محتاج ازود التواصل الروحاني بتاعي؟ هل انا مقصر؟ هل القلق اللي عندي نتيجه عدم احساسي بامان وسلام داخلي؟ أسأل نفسي أنا فين من ده؟ أستخدم الكوفيد كمراية أو كترمومتر أقدر أحدد أنا فين، وأشوف إيه الخطوات اللي أنا محتاج أعملها، أشوف إيه أنا محتاج أزود إيه كصلاة، كصيام، كمديتيشن، كتشانتينج. في حاجات مختلفة كتير ممكن إن إحنا نعملها عشان نرفع المستوى الروحاني. أنا جالي سؤال دلوقتي، ناس بتقول إن وأنا بتكلم على المستوى الفكري كان الصوت مش واضح، فأنا هعيده تاني بسرعة بس عشان ما أخدش من باقي الحضور. بالنسبة للمستوى الفكري كنت بتكلم عن إن أنا أسأل نفسي في الفترة دي أنا بغذي فكري بإيه؟ هل أنا بغذي فكري بأفكار سلبية؟ بتفرج على حاجات بتزود الفكر السلبي عندي فبالتالي بتأثر على مشاعري، ولا أنا بزود فكري وبغذي نفسي زي ما باكل على المستوى الجسدي؟ أنا محتاج آكل على المستوى الفكري، أنا باكل إيه؟ أنا بدخل أفكار إيه عندي؟ وده طبعا بيخلينا نبص على الحدود اللي محتاج اعملها على المستوى الفكري واقول ده يلزمني وده ما يلزمنيش. ده ممكن اتفرج عليه 5 دقايق، مش اقعد طول اليوم بستقبل رسائل سلبيه من خلال السوشيال ميديا او التلفزيون. طبعا في حاجات وفي برامج مفيده جدا اروح اتفرج عليها، اروح اشوفها، اروح ازود نفسي بيها. بالاخر عشان ما اطولش عليكم، انا حابه ان احنا كلنا نستخدم الفتره دي كفتره لتطوير نفسنا، نشوف احنا واقفين فين. Take it as a time to rise, time to evolve, time to develop. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Angie. Thank you for being with us. And that was Angie from Egypt, drama therapist. And بما إنه الورقة كانت بالعربي, I'll just say quickly. معنا she spoke both languages. Just for those who just entered, just to recap quickly. I love how you used the COVID-19 as the mirror. Beautiful description, 4 parts: the physical, the emotional, the thoughts, and the spiritual. And how did it actually change us? And how we just reflect on the COVID-19 instead of holding all that anger and bitterness towards it. How about looking at it from a positive perspective and thinking, how did it have a positive impact or changed our life or gave us that pause to slow down? So we'll move to our second panelist for today, for our first session of panels, and that's 𝗛𝗲𝗹𝗶 from Oman. And 𝗛𝗲 is a psychologist and sister of Serenity, and she will be talking about how to speak to your child about the after.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
يعطيك العافية صاحبة السمو سيدة تغريد، ومشكورة على التقديم، ويعطي الجميع العافية. حبيت بس أحييكم باللغة العربية، دائما التحية تطلع من القلب أكثر لما تكون باللغة الأم. سبحان الله.
سبحان الله. تفضلي.
It's an honor to be part of this team and to help people in such a difficult time to see the bright side of what we're going through. Some people might be stuck at this is scary, this is stressful, but we're trying to help people see the other side of hope, and things are going to move forward in the best or in the better direction, inshallah. Things will get better, inshallah. So today I'm going to talk about helping children or talking to children, how to speak to your child about the aftermath. But before I go into details on how to speak to your child or help your child about the aftermath, I would like people listening to me to take a moment to think of how they themselves are dealing with that. And I would like them to, with each point I raise, I would like them to think and raise the question, keep the question at the back of their mind. How am I dealing with this point? Am I dealing with it appropriately? Do I need to deal with it in a better way before I can help my child deal with it in a better way? So the first point I'm going to mention, or I'm going to discuss in terms of helping your child or speaking to your child about COVID-19 or about the aftermath, is acceptance. So we still see some people trying to shield themselves or trying to deny what's happening around in the world. It's very important for us to accept, and our children to accept, that this is a reality that we're living. Whether we like it or not, it is a reality that we're accepting. Don't try to run away or hide from your child's questions or from your child getting information about COVID-19, and don't deny that this is a reality that we're living in. I found out something that was very interesting. I overheard my children incorporating COVID-19 in their game of catch. So one was running away from the other and saying, run away from him, he's got COVID-19. So some parents might think, oh, this is bad omen, don't say that, or try to discourage their children from talking about it or incorporating it in their play. I thought that since they're incorporating it in their play, it means that they understand that it is a reality that is around us. And I used it as an opportunity to ask questions and open up a conversation of how do you deal with, or how do you protect yourself from catching COVID-19? You're running away, so what else can you do to help yourself or protect yourself from getting COVID-19? Or what are the things that you can control to stop it from reaching you, basically? So find out more about how much your child knows about COVID-19 and ask questions that are appropriate for their age. Just follow your child's lead. If your child is asking questions, then answer them, of course, giving answers that are appropriate for their age. Don't give away too much information that would scare them, and don't try to shield them from knowing the facts if they're looking to know about the facts. Saying that, we know that some children are happily oblivious to what's happening. They don't want to know so much about COVID, and that's absolutely okay. Just follow your child's lead. If your child wants to know more about COVID, then be there to give out information that they need. If your child is fine with that, then just don't try to give more information than what they need. The second point I would like to talk about is expression, and it's a very, very important point. Help your child express their emotions and how they feel about COVID-19. So when we talk about expression, again, I would like to bring it back to us as adults. How do we deal with our emotions? How do we cope with our anxieties? Looking at children, children deal with their anxieties in different ways. Some children might be clingy, some children might be very angry, some might be agitated, and some children might actually distance themselves from you and don't want to engage with you, basically. As I always tell parents when dealing with children, and especially when dealing with emotions, is that we should and we need to lead by example. Don't expect your child to easily express his or her emotions if you're not showing your child your emotions and expressing them and sharing them with them. So I lead by example by talking about my own emotions, and then my children will get used to that type of conversation, definitely. And it's very important to give your child enough space to share and discuss those emotions and express them. And also remember, a very, very important point is that children pick on their parents' insecurities, they pick on their parents' anxieties and fears. So never try to help your child when you're anxious yourself. Allow yourself enough time to calm down, get things into perspective, and then go and speak to your child to calm them down and to reassure them. And I think that the key words here to use when talking about expressing emotions are listening and validating. Show your child that you're listening very carefully to what they're talking about and validating their emotions. There are many times when we hear parents telling their children, oh, that's silly, or that's ridiculous, or don't be silly. Let's not do that, because those emotions are real, and it's really hard for children to share those emotions. So let's make the child feel comfortable enough to share those emotions by showing them that we understand where they're coming from. And another very important point is to express our own emotions, as I said. So it's okay to tell the child that, you know what, it is indeed a stressful time, and it is anxiety provoking. I myself get stressed and I get anxious at times, and that shows the child that it is okay, and everyone goes through those emotions. And it also opens up an opportunity to show the child, and again, lead by example, how the ways I use to deal with those emotions. So it gives the child an opportunity to explore ways of dealing with this anxiety. So I can tell my child, I feel anxious at times, and this is how, or this is what I do to deal with that anxiety and calm myself down. What do you do, or what do you think you can do to calm yourself down? So it's always, opening a conversation with a child is always the answer to trying to calm them down and trying to help them express their emotions. And offer comfort, but also be honest. That's a very important point as well. So offer comfort, show the child that you're listening, you're there, but don't be afraid to tell your child. If your child asks a question, don't be afraid to say, you know what, I don't know the answer to that question. And that also gives you an opportunity to say, how about we find out together? And again, that gives your child confidence and it increases his or her knowledge on the topic itself. I'll also talk about the point of understanding the change that we're going through. So we've talked about discussing and expressing our emotions about the current situation. It's also important to introduce to our child talking about the changes that we're going through and the changes that are going to happen in future, of course. We all know that we've all moved from being at school, then being homeschooled or homeschooling our children, and then the hope of going back to school in the near future, and as well for us as adults, going back from attending our workplaces to working from home to going back to our workplace, which is already happening to some people. And we also need to admit that we sometimes, even us as adults, struggle to find the motivation on some days to do our work or to run our errands while staying at home. So we should expect children to have the same as well. And I think to help our children with that issue, we need to work on a flexible timetable. So a flexible timetable helped me adjust to when my child feels more motivated, and maybe offer them things that are more fun, encourage them to do things that they like when they're not as motivated, while still keeping a structure. Structure is very important for children to feel safe, even within the home setting or the home structure. It's also important to discuss those changes and how the children feel about those changes. Again, school, homeschool, and the future in going to school, and especially with parents that have already started going to work. That must bring some anxiety to the child, or some children might feel anxious about their parents going back to work, especially when there's still no cure or nothing, or when the cases are in the rise. So we need to also discuss that with our children. Talking about change and helping our children understand change, we need to help them or enable them embrace that change. So we help our children embrace those changes rather than just being stuck at being anxious with those changes. It helps, and I usually use this method with the children. In that show, I show them that there are things that they can control, and us as well as adults, there are things that we can control, and there are things that are out of our control. So we can focus on things that we can control. Yes, thank you very much to our host, showing us the diagram that I use with the children. So there are things that I can control, and then there are things that I cannot control. And it's much easier, and it's much more productive to focus on the things that I can control rather than being stuck with the things that I cannot control. So for example, I don't know if it's very clear here. I'm just going to say a couple of things so I can control my goals, my behaviors, taking care of myself. I can't control what others say, how others feels, or I can't control being sick. Moving on to the next diagram, please. I've tried to incorporate that method within the COVID-19. So things that I cannot control is who becomes unwell or not, but I can control how I look after my health. I cannot control how this will last, but I can control what to do in the home setting and how much I do, spending time doing what I enjoy. I can't control the school start date, but I can control my thoughts and my emotions, discussing them, expressing them, dealing with them in order to be able to go back to school. Going back to school, that's a very important topic because it can bring up some separation anxiety within our children, because they've gotten used to staying at home with the comfort of mom and dad being around. And it also brings up a separation anxiety for us as parents, I think that applies to all parents. It's very important to talk to your child and prepare them for the change and for going back to school. And I also think that using this diagram and using how can I deal with the things that I cannot control, that will help the child deal with the transition and make it a much smoother one. And I think at the end, at the end, I would just like to say it's very important for us as adults and children to know that even though we did not choose to embark on this journey, we have the choice on how smooth we make this journey, inshallah, to the way for recovery, bi'idhnillah. And thank you very much. Stay safe and have a lovely day all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Beautiful. يعطيك العافية. شكرا لهذه الكلمات الطيبة والمناقشات الجميلة. إذا اللي متابعينا، أحب أشكركم جميعا لصبركم وتعاونكم معنا مرة أخرى وطولة بالكم. طبعا تعرفوا التقنية وعالم التقنية محتاج صبر، مثل ما انتم شايفين مرات الصوت يروح يرجع، الصورة تقل تسرع. أتمنى أن الجميع تأقلم شيئا فشيء معنا واندمجتوا. توبيك جدا جميل اللي قالته الأستاذة نورة الأخزمي، الأخصائية سايكولوجيست في عيادة همسات السكون، يعطيها العافية. تلخيص سريع للنقاط اللي قالتها، وأظن هذه رسالة مهمة جدا، إنه ناس كثير يقولوا الأطفال تعبوا والأطفال يريدوا يطلعوا والأطفال ما حابين الحجر والأطفال بدت فيديوز حتى تتناقل. ما أعتقد الأطفال يتكيفوا ويتأقلموا لتأقلمنا نحن. هل نحن في اتزان مع نفسنا وواعيين ليش نحن في هذا الموقف؟ الأطفال بيقلدونا. فمهم جدا تكون في لغة حوار، مهم جدا نخلي الأطفال يعبروا عن مشاعرهم، مهم جدا أيضا يكون في روتين معين للطفل في حياته، مثل ما يكون رايح المدرسة والأيام العادية ويتقبل الفكرة. إذا نحن متقبلين الطفل راح يتقبل، وأيضا الطفل يفهم هذا التغيير من أجل إيش وكيف حنتحرك بعد ذلك في هذا التغيير. طبعا هم مثلهم مثلنا، عندهم كثير من المخاوف من أشياء كثيرة، وهذا أمر طبيعي جدا طالما نحن نساعدهم وناخذ بيدهم إنهم يتعاملوا مع هذه المخاوف والأشياء اللي موجودة عندهم. يعطيكم ألف عافية. وننتقل للمتحدث رقم 3. أذكركم بس عندكم الشات، بإمكانكم تضعوا كيف ألهموكم المتحدثين أو أي استفسارات أو ملاحظات، سواء الآن قدرنا وأسعفنا الوقت إنه نتكلم عن 1 أو 2 من أسئلتكم أو مداخلاتكم، أو هم باقين معنا راح يتابعوكم بإذن الله تعالى ويحاولوا قدر الإمكان يستجيبوا لهذه الأشياء. Thank you all for your patience and cooperation. Thank you for being with us. We're moving now to our third panelist in our first panel today, السيد 𝗛𝗲 𝗵𝗴، and he's a project manager. And he's going to talk to us about behavioral economics and post-COVID. سيد منذر، أهلا وسهلا معنا وتفضل.
السلام عليكم صاحب السمو، كيف الحال؟ كيف أخبارك؟
الحمد لله، الله يسلمك، تفضل.
يا أهلا مرحبا. I'll start my talk about behavioral economics. I think I bring a different flavor today than psychology. I've heard the previous talks and very interesting stuff, but I'm bringing something that's basically at the policy level, and I prepared a couple of slides maybe that will guide us. So let me share my screen, and I cannot share my screen, I guess, so that's fine. I'll just talk. Basically, when I talk about behavioral economics, I'll try to explain what is it in simple terms. Behavioral economics is basically the incorporation of psychology into decision making. We're trying to understand how people make decisions, and traditional economic theory did not incorporate that, but now we're trying to look at what's the role of psychology in and how people make decisions, choosing between option A versus option B, for example. And it's an interesting field, and some of you might be asking, why do we need a behavioral economics unit in the first place? There are a couple of reasons, and I'll mention a couple of them just for your knowledge. Some of the behavioral interventions that can be done at the policy level are cheaper to implement compared to other traditional choices. Like, for example, one of the traditional mechanisms to change behavior is basically introducing taxes. When you introduce taxes, you have two objectives in mind. The first is basically to bring money, and the second thing is basically to change behavior. However, doing or implementing a tax system usually really is costly and it takes time. And therefore, if you have more simple behavioral intervention, you can have the same effect with less cost. Of course, also behavioral economics also gives another toolbox for policymakers to implement or design their policies. And finally, of course, there's a consistent need to understand individual behavior, institutional behavior, in order to make better policies and better decisions. Now, what is the foundation of behavioral economics? Basically, it all centers on two things. Traditional economic theory says basically that humans are rational. Basically, the argument is like you give them certain information and they will act accordingly based on that information. Behavioral economics says otherwise, says basically that in many cases, human beings act irrationally. For example, I know that I'm supposed to eat healthy food, but I don't at the end. I know that I'm supposed to exercise and go to the gym, but I don't. I know I'm supposed to be saving for my retirement, but I don't at the end, because there is what we call intention and action gap. I don't actually do what I'm supposed to do. And therefore, in many cases, I act basically irrationally. Now, it makes sense basically to understand this in two ways. It's not exactly there, but we have only one brain. But if you think of the brain, you can classify it into two systems. There's something called system 1, and there's something called system 2. System 1 is basically the one that is easy, requires less effort. It wants to do things that basically does not require so much thinking. For example, think about it when you're driving your car. You're driving your car, you already know how to shift the gear, you know how to press the petrol pedal, for example, turn the AC on, turn the radio on. It doesn't require so much effort. The other thing is called system 2, which is basically requires more effort and more thinking, like solving a math problem, for example, or trying to read an article, or to write an article, actually, for that sake. As a result, what happens in your system 1, which is basically the easy mind, you start developing some shortcuts to make easier decisions without really thinking much. For example, I encountered this myself a few days ago. I was at the electronics shop and I was trying to buy a mouse, computer mouse. And there were a couple of alternatives, really. I couldn't choose which one. I didn't want to spend the time to actually think of which one to choose. So what I've done, basically, I chose a simple way. I said to myself, the one that is priced higher is the better. Is that the best alternative?
Sorry, Said Mundar, you can share now your screen if you wish.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Okay, is it clear now?
Yes.
All right, beautiful. So basically, this is what I'm talking about, system 2, and basically, as a result of having system 2, I think I cannot flip to the other slide, but okay, I can now. So basically, as a result of having system 1, you start developing these shortcuts to make life easy for you. They're not necessarily the right choice, but again, it makes life easier for everyone. And I gave you the example of choosing a computer mouse for myself. Now, there are many people who basically wrote about behavioral economics. They're very important books. I give you a couple of them. For example, there's Thinking Fast and Slow for Daniel Kahneman. There's Nudge for Richard Taylor and Cass. And also there's Inside the Nudge Unit, which is written by the Behavioral Insight team, which is an entity that we're working with from the United Kingdom. Now, what are the common methods for behavioral economics? There are many methods, but I'll just mention a couple of them. For example, one of them is called priming. In priming, we tend to be influenced by our environment. You enter a mall, for example, and you smell like bakery food, and suddenly you start craving bakery food and you start getting hungry. You enter a gym, for example, and you see everyone is exercising and you see these equipments everywhere. You get somehow encouraged or motivated to exercise. And this is basically the idea of priming. And the link here is like our brain works in association. I think I smell food and I think that I'm hungry, for example. There's also something called social norms. Social norms, humans tend to be wanting to be part of a group. They want to belong to a certain group, and therefore they will act accordingly within that group. I bring an example of a colleague from the States. In New York, for example, they're not required to wear masks in COVID-19, but she started wearing a mask because she noticed everyone is basically wearing one, and she didn't want to look awkward. Another thing is basically salience. Salience is when you make things very visible and noticeable to the brain. Like you see this thing in grocery shops. When you go to the counter, you're just about to cash out, you notice those chocolate bars, they're just looking at you and staring at you, and therefore basically you're more tempted to buy one. There's also, I'll mention one more and then I'll move to the next slide. There's something called framing. Framing is like, how do you frame a certain decision will impact the decision that is taken at the end. For example, if you want people to choose energy efficient equipment, if you frame the decision in terms of the cost, people will less likely to buy because they'll think it's too costly. But if you frame it in terms of the benefits they'll get in the future, then their decision might be impacted differently. I share an example here of priming, basically. This is a study done in the UK, where basically there was a kitchen and there's tea and coffee, and everyone was encouraged to contribute money for the tea and coffee. They haven't done any text or anything else, but every week they were posting pictures either of eyes or basically flowers. And they've noticed that whenever they put picture of eyes, people tend to contribute more, because the logic is they feel that being watched, or they're being primed to be feeling that being watched, and therefore they have to contribute more. However, when there were flowers, they were less likely to contribute as compared to putting eyes, especially with this picture where you have this guy staring at you like you've done something wrong. This is another example for social norms. This is basically done in the energy sector. A lot has been done in the States and Europe as well. Here, whenever you receive a utility bill, your energy consumption is compared with your neighbor or the neighborhood. And therefore, if your neighbor is consuming less, you're more likely to consume also less. And therefore, it's achieved the purpose of reducing energy consumption without reducing any tariffs or lifting of subsidies. Now, in terms of COVID, there are many things that can be done. For example, if you look about public life, now my next speaker is supposed to be going back to work and hopefully adjusting to the new normal. In this case, you see this example of a park. In this case, they've made the places where you can actually sit observable. So you can basically sit in a certain place, and by sitting in the circle, you're keeping a distance between you and the people next to you. And therefore, this kind of, in a way, nudge people to act in a certain way. Another example, now we're going back to offices, and we still have to stick to using sanitizers and wash our hands every now and then. This is one of the creative inventions that I've seen. Basically, the sanitizer is incorporated into the door handle. So whenever you press the door handle, you already can sanitize your hand. So this is incorporating sanitizing or cleaning your hand into your daily routine that you do usually in office. You have to open doors at the end. Maybe you've seen this as well. This is probably, one of them is a cafe in Europe, and the other one is probably from the States. The first one, in order to have coffee in this coffee shop, you basically have to wear this funny hat. The purpose of this funny hat provides some sort of feedback for you. So whenever you get close to another person, it's kind of remind me that you're getting close to the second person, and therefore you should stay away. The other funny example is from a dining restaurant, I think, in the States. In order to dine in this restaurant now, you have to wear this rubber tubes, and basically you're forced to keep your distance from other people as well. Funny, interesting way. I'm not sure they're so practical, but again, people are getting creative now. COVID, behavioral economics can also help in addressing false information. In pandemics, one of the threats that is basically very serious is false information. And I gave an example here from a tweet from President Trump recently. He's talking about mail-in ballots. And it was very interesting that whenever he posted his tweet, Twitter added this link at the end that says, get the facts about mail-in ballots. It basically nudges people to check the right information and whatever he's saying is correct or not. I also came across another study that by adding a very small question to social media handle. So before you post anything, there's a question that appears and asks, are you sure this information is correct? Are you sure this information is true? And by introducing this thing, it made people share less false information to the public. And finally, before I go to my next slide, this is a bit, I'm using this slide as a leading to my last slide. This is basically baby Jessica, which is in 1987, she fell into a well in Texas. She was 18 months old. Her rescue was for 58 hours, which is more than 2 days. She was staying there without any food, less circulation, and by the time she got out, she got donations out that reached about 800,000, which is around 300,000 Omani riyals. By the count of people at that time, this money was able to save her just so many times. And the idea here is like people contributed money without an actual need for that money. Like she needed little amount to be saved, but people contributed more. Why? Because the picture here appealed to their emotion. And when you appeal to emotions, you're more likely to make people take a certain decision. And in relation to that, this is an example that, not exactly this picture, but has been done in a couple of towns and villages, you wanted people in the village to adhere to wearing masks, for example, using good hygiene. And one way that had been applied as part of behavioral insights and behavioral economics, they put posters around the village with elders that they actually know. And under each photo, they said, we are protecting him or protecting her. So by me seeing this picture, and I know the person, and I just talked to him probably a week ago or something, it triggers some sort of emotion with me that I want to protect this guy, and therefore I'll commit to wearing masks and sticking to good hygiene and social distancing, for example. There are many other examples that I can talk about here in terms of COVID-19 and how can behavioral economics help, but I'll keep my talk short up to here, and I conclude with my contact just in case if you have any further information that the behavioral economics unit can assist, or in my own capacity. So thank you very much.
Shukran. Thank you very much, Sayyid Munder, for the lovely talk. We really enjoyed it, although I'm not in economy and I didn't understand a few things there. It's not my field, but the beautiful thing that how psychology actually links and connects to everything. Some people think psychology is not important, or it's just an art, or what do we do with it? But this was the part that is amazing. فإذا كان معنا السيد منذر البوسعيدي وأعطانا كلمة مختلفة عن نظرتنا في رحلة التعافي، وهي عن عالم الاقتصاد، وهذا عالم مختلف تماما. قلت إنه الجميل في الموضوع إنه علم النفس يتصل بكل شيء، وكان يتكلم في كثير من كلمته عن السلوك، وكيف إنه لما نلعب بالسلوك، يمكن كلمته شوية تتفق مع إنجي في نقطة الجسد والروح والفكر والنفسية تتصل كلها مع بعضها البعض. وكما تعرفوا جميعا الاقتصاد واحدة من الأشياء اللي تأثرت جدا في الكوفيد 19 والجائحة الموجودة، وناس كثير تضررت وناس ما زالت متضررة، والاقتصاد أصلا كان في مشكلة، والآن يمكن دخل ستيبر منحنى أقوى. ولذلك نحن محتاجين أيضا أن نحن نسلط الضوء كثيرا على موضوع أنه كيف الناس تتأقلم خلال رحلة التعافي من النواحي الاقتصادية، وتطلع بحلول اللي هي تعايش أكثر مع الوضع الحالي. أذكركم مرة أخرى بأنه ممكن تحطوا لهم ملاحظات أو كيف ألهموكم من خلال استخدامكم للشات. شاكرين لكم حسن تعاونكم وصبركم معنا. Thank you so much for your patience and cooperation again. Thank you for being there. You are a very important part, all the participants, because we couldn't have made this successful and be here today without all of you being here. Thanks for who just joined us. Now we are moving to our final panelists for our first panel session before we take the next break. And it's all the way from the UK, James Sale. Thank you, James, for being with us today here. And he's a health, financing, and governance advocate at the United for Global Mental Health. And he's going to talk about the universal mental health coverage. Hello, James.
Hi.
Nice to have you with us today.
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure and honor to join such a distinguished panel. I'm very pleased that you invited me. So I'm based in the UK, but I work in global mental health. I'm a mental health advocate, and I spend my time advocating for improved and new mental health legislation and policy throughout the world, which is progressive and human rights based. And I also work on trying to increase the levels of finance in mental health, particularly public finance, and then also foreign direct investment or aid from global north countries into mental health. So I think what I would like to do now is talk to you about the impact of the COVID-19 crisis on mental health, and looking forward to the aftermath, but from a global perspective. And what I will do is I'll run you through some areas that I think are interesting, and I apologize in advance for the number of statistics I'm going to quote. I know sometimes the speakers can give too many, and I probably will. So I think it's fair to say that the world has never at least in living memory, has not faced a global challenge like the COVID-19 crisis, and specifically the world hasn't faced a mental health global challenge like we are facing now in living memory. Whilst there's many uncertainties about how the pandemic will progress, what is clear is that the impact on mental health and psychosocial well-being of those most affected will be significant. We are at a pivotal moment in the history of mental health. How the world tackles these challenges now will determine the well-being of a generation, and the impact to drive successful recovery and building back society stronger for the future is imperative. I feel like it's also safe to say that the world is not equipped for a global mental health crisis. We are not set up to deal with a mental health pandemic, let alone a physical health pandemic, as is being shown in many countries. Prior to the COVID outbreak, the global statistics on mental health are already fairly bleak. The global economy loses more than $1 trillion per year to depression and anxiety alone. Mental health conditions contribute to 25% of years lived with disability in the world. Depression actually is the leading cause of disability in the world. The levels of self-harm are incredibly high. And despite all of this, the average that governments spend out of their health budget on mental health globally is less than 2%. And when we go to low-income countries, that drops to less than 1%. So in no way does the amount of investment that we put into mental health match the disease burden and the need. The current situation is one which is, I feel like, on a knife edge at the moment. When we talk about the second wave in COVID, that means obviously, is there going to be a second wave, a second spike in infections? For me, the second wave is the mental health impact, and that is coming, and that is, we are already starting to see that effect in health systems in countries. Alongside the physical health impacts of COVID, that COVID is causing, the impacts of the pandemic on mental health and psychosocial well-being are large and diverse, and they will persist long after the virus has been contained. The social and economical impact of COVID has the potential to create general psychological distress, as well as further exacerbating pre-existing mental health conditions. This will hamper individual, societal, and economic recovery. But I want to just highlight three population groups that are particularly vulnerable, and there are many more. I want to talk about the general population who are experiencing mental health conditions for the first time, many of those common and mild mental health conditions, but nevertheless their first experience. Those with ongoing severe mental health conditions who are having their treatment interrupted. And then finally, the frontline healthcare workers who are particularly vulnerable to psychological distress when dealing with the pandemic. Now, there are many other vulnerable groups I could talk about, the elderly, for example, children, and different marginalized groups within society, but I'm going to focus on these three. So first of all, looking at those, the general population and people's first experience maybe of mental health conditions. This is due to many things, but the sort of general effects of social isolation and the economic fallout are being felt very widely. And large sections of populations around the world are experiencing increased anxiety, depression, stress, and loneliness as a result of the COVID outbreak, many of those for the first time, because no one is immune to the pressures the pandemic are placing on communities and individuals. Results of initial studies are showing that fear, loneliness, sadness, anxiety are common as people are afraid of infection, dying, losing family members, losing their income or livelihoods, and also being socially isolated and separated from loved ones. In past pandemics, we do know that the effect on mental health is significant. In the 2003 2003 SARS outbreak in Asia, there were substantial consequences on mental health of those exposed, with 50% of recovered people with having anxiety symptoms, and 20% of rehabilitated people showing depression. A fifth of those is incredibly high. The SARS epidemic also was associated with a peak in death by self-harm amongst the elderly in Hong Kong, for example. Now, already with COVID, although it is quite early, there have been studies already conducted. A large study in China showed that nearly 17% of people of the population are reporting moderate to severe depression symptoms. Nearly a third are reporting moderate to severe anxiety symptoms. To deal with these stresses, people are using different coping mechanisms, and some of these can be harmful. In many increase on alcohol, an increase in interpersonal violence, drug use, and spending more time on potentially addictive behaviours such as gaming or gambling. In fact, in Canada, there's early indication that 20% of the population aged between 15 and 49 years have increased their alcohol consumption significantly during the pandemic. And these are real issues that are happening now to the general population. And whilst the pandemic will be contained, some of these mental health conditions will remain. And then we'll have a new cohort of the general population who are experiencing mental health conditions, who will need support once health systems open up again across the world. The second group of vulnerable people that I want to talk about today is those with severe mental health conditions or having their treatment interrupted. Those with existing poor mental health are facing a number of risks, including increased rates of ill mental health and disruption to treatment, medication being interrupted, and also interruption to the lifeline of support services. Studies are showing that COVID is likely to exacerbate existing mental health symptoms or trigger relapse amongst people with pre-existing mental health conditions. In South Africa, of those with a prior diagnosed mental health condition, 12% identified feelings of suicide and self-harm as a main challenge, and 6% indicated substance misuse as a difficulty. So these are a significant rise on top of pre-existing mental health conditions. What we also have is that health systems rapidly changing to deal with this virus, and it's not just in those not being able to access, say, cancer treatment or diagnosis for cardiac disease. It's also affecting the mental health system, and this is really either interrupting ongoing treatment or preventing those with a severe mental health condition accessing emergency treatment. In Madrid, they've had to convert over 60% of their psychiatric beds, rehabilitation units and vocational units for psychiatric patients. They've all been closed. This means that the number of people attending emergency psychiatric services has reduced by 75%. And in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, there has been a reported 99% reduction in mental health patient encounters with the health system due to COVID-19. The last group I wanted to talk about are frontline healthcare workers, who are especially at high risk of mental ill health during this time. They are at risk of burnout and also stigma as well within communities, because they might be isolated almost against their will, because the community will not interact with them because they feel like they are at high risk of contracting COVID-19. Again, looking back at the 2003 SARS outbreak, 89% of health workers in high-risk situations reported psychological effects. Do you think that nearly 90% of your health workers are have a negative impact on their mental health? Then your health system is not operating at its full potential at the exact time when you need your health system to be operating at its full potential. We're looking at COVID. Early studies are showing in China that over 50% of frontline healthcare workers have shown signs of depression. That's dropped at 44% anxiety. Nearly over a third are reporting insomnia. Preliminary data from Pakistan also indicates that among health professionals working during this pandemic, 42% were likely to experience moderate psychological distress, with some 26% showing severe psychological distress. We cannot afford to lose our health workers, and we must urgently support their mental health to ensure a workforce that is sustained throughout the pandemic response and recovery. In some countries, in Chile, Italy, Spain, Philippines, the UK and the US, there has been the introduction of dedicated teams providing mental health support for health workers. I've seen particularly good examples in specific hospitals in Spain, where they are having dedicated mental health professionals working within ICU intensive care units, who are there not necessarily for the patients but for the staff. Other initiatives include the introduction of personal screening for healthcare workers, for stress and other mental health illness during this period, and support is being offered via workshops or support groups led by social workers and other trained staff, as well as those individual assessments and mental health treatment. So what is the response and what is the aftermath of the global mental health situation after the pandemic is contained? Well, we've seen good, strong guidance from the UN Secretary General and also from Dr. Tedros at WHO in the last 2 weeks, discussing the need to deal with the mental health crisis surrounding the pandemic. And we applaud that, but we need that to turn into action. We need to see mental health fully integrated into all COVID response plans at a national and global level. And there are 5 key recommendations that we've made at United for Global Mental Health that we would like to see. And then I just want to pick up on one in particular. So the 5 key recommendations that we make is that we need to apply a whole of society approach to promote, protect, and care for mental health. We need to ensure widespread availability of emergency mental health and psychosocial support. We need to support the recovery from COVID-19 by building mental health services for the future. We have to increase funding for mental health as part of the response, but also as a long-term building of health systems. And we need to leverage innovations. The pandemic has created a lot of new innovations in all sorts of parts of our life as we adapt to a new normal. And we need to leverage those ones which have been successful when it comes to mental health into the future. But there's one area that I just want to quickly mention here, and that is to ensure that mental health is built into universal health coverage.
James, I'm sorry, but I will have to stop here. Thank you so much. Would you like to say something at the end just to close this?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is actually my closing point, and that is that is the world is building towards the Sustainable Development Goal in 2030 of universal health coverage, where everybody has the right and actual access to the healthcare that they need. But that will be incomplete if it does not include mental health. And the best way that we can build resilient health systems to deal with future pandemics is to build resilient people. And that means looking after, maintaining, and promoting people's mental health.
Thank you so much. That was a great talk. We really enjoyed it. Thank you for being with us today. It's lovely to have you. And I hope you're able to stay with us till the end. Thank you, James.
Thanks.
إذن كان معنا جيمس سيل من المملكة المتحدة، وكان يتكلم عن خدمة الصحة النفسية بشكل عام وتأثير الصحة النفسية وأهميتها مش فقط في الجائحة، ولكن هو يقول إن نحن نستثمر في أشياء كثيرة، وقد تكون الصحة النفسية من أهم الأشياء اللي لابد إن نحن نستثمر فيها. وهذا بالواقع إن نحن تأثيرها الكبير، وقال عن فئات كثيرة تأثرت، وهي كما تعرفوا الناس الكبار في السن، الأطفال، الناس اللي عندهم أمراض مزمنة، الناس اللي يشتغلوا الكادر الصحي وفي الخطوط الأمامية وهذا، ويمكن أيضاً العسكريين والأمنيين وكلهم اللي نوجه لهم تحية وتقدير كبير، والناس اللي عندهم مشاكل صحية نفسية أصلاً وكانوا يتعالجوا سابقاً من أشياء شبيهة من اللي تثيرها الجائحة، والناس اللي يتعرضوا بسبب ظروف الجائحة والتباعد الاجتماعي أو التباعد الجسدي أو مشاكل أخرى، ما قدروا يتغير نظام حياتهم وروتينهم الكامل أدى إلى مشاكل عامة، ولكن هو ركز على اللي أصيبوا بمشاكل جديدة، ركز على اللي كان عندهم مشاكل نفسية وتأثر نظامهم في الصحة النفسية بسبب هذا الشيء، وصار لهم انتكاسات قد زادت، وهذا اللي نحن نشوفه من خلال عيادة همسات السكون وخطوط المساندة اللي موجودة معانا طوال أيام الأسبوع، فترتين الصباح والمساء، نجد كثير من هذه المشكلات اللي تطرق لها جيمس، وأيضاً تكلم عن الخطوط أو الصفوف الأولى والمشكلات اللي يتعرضوا لها، فوجه رسالة للقادة ومنظمة الصحة العالمية والجهات المسؤولة إنه لابد يكون في اهتمام أكبر واستثمار أكبر في الصحة النفسية، لأن الشريحة اللي تتعرض للمشاكل سواء من اكتئاب أو من خوف أو من قلق أو من شعور بالوحدة أو خوف من فقد حد عزيز أو العنف اللي تحول عند البعض أو حتى الممارسات الإدمان بسبب الوحدة هذه اللي موجودة، الاقتصاد اللي تأثر، لجوء بعض الناس لممارسات وعادات سيئة مثل المخدرات، الكحول، أفكار الانتحارية اللي جاءتهم، معناته إنه نحن حنستمر. ذكر الكثير من الإحصائيات، قارن ما بين الجائحات السابقة اللي صارت والمشاكل السابقة، وقال كيف تأثرت هذه الخطوط الأولى وتأثروا كل هذول الناس، وأهمية وجود الصحة النفسية باستمرار. فلا بد إنه الحكومات كما قلت والجهات والمنظمات والمؤسسات تعطي اهتمام أكبر ورعاية أكبر، ويمكن نحن واحدة من رسائلنا اليوم موجودين هنا كحملة نحن معك، ورسالتنا دائماً بأنه الصحة النفسية لا تقل أهمية عن الصحة الجسدية، ولا بد أن الناس تقدر أيضاً وجودهم معنا. شكراً جزيلاً. كذا وصلنا إلى نهاية الجلسة الأولى. أترك الحديث الآن مرة أخرى لدانيا وعبد الله ينهوا هذه الفقرة معكم. Thank you for being with us. I've done with the panel. Thank you for all the speakers today. I would like to thank 𝗛𝗲𝗶𝗵، Noura Lakhzami, Sayyid Mundar al-Busaidi, and James Sales from UK for being with us today and inspiring us. I hope they inspired you all. Lovely talks, and I will leave it now, the platform, for Dania and Abdullah. Thank you very much.
شكراً دكتورة صاحبة السمو الدكتورة سيدة تغريد. بصراحة كانت الجلسة كثير مثرية بالمعلومات وكثير استفدنا، كثير تلهمنا القصص ونتأثر فيها لما نسمعها، وممكن تتغير بها أفكارنا ومشاعرنا. ونحن في حملة نحن معك دائما نحب نسمع قصصكم، واليوم بنسمع مع بعض قصة جراحة الأسنان الدكتورة إلاف العبدواني، وبتكلمنا عن رحلتها مع جائحة كورونا.
First of all, thank you so much to Her Highness Dr. Taghreed Al Saeed for that wonderful moderation of the panel discussion that was just done. And thank you to all the 4 speakers. That was extremely informative, very interesting perspective on each one of the speakers. And also thank you guys for being so interactive in the comment section. I was really interested in reading all the questions and everything that was going on in the chat box. So thank you so much for everyone that participated in the panel discussion. Of course, if you've been to our old events, you realize how much we love stories and personal stories from you guys. So now we're going to feature someone on our Not Alone Stories, who is 𝗛𝗲𝗶𝗴 𝗕𝗲𝗆. She is a dentist, and she has been one of the frontliners in the pandemic that's been going around in the country. And we're really, really excited to hear her part of the story.
السلام عليكم جماعة، شو أخباركم؟ أول شيء جماعة مباركة طبعاً. بالبداية طبعاً أحب أشكركم كثير على استضافتي، وأول شيء بعرفكم على نفسي. اسمي إلاف أحمد العبدواني، طبيبة أسنان. طبعاً راح أحكي لكم أول شيء عن تجربتي، وخاصة إن لما صرنا في الفيرست لاين من الكورونا. طبعاً أول شيء إحنا مجالنا كله متخصص عنه مرتكز على الفم والأسنان واللثة. طبعاً على أساس سوري، فلهذا الارتكاز قررت اللجنة العليا إنه عشان سلامة الجميع إن نحاول إن نخفف عدد الزائرين لعياداتنا ونشوف فقط مرضى الطوارئ. فقل عملنا بشكل كبير، فقررنا إحنا إن نطالبهم إن إذا ممكن إحنا ندخل معاهم ونكون من الفيرست لاينر على أساس إنه نساعد الأقسام الثانية، لأن هذا الوقت ما وقت إن الواحد يشتغل على الجوب ديسكريبشنز ماله أو أي شيء. هذا الوقت إن الواحد لازم يساهم في المجتمع ويساهم لوطنه. ففي البداية حطوني في قسم الفرز المرضى. طبعاً قسم الفرز مثل ما أنتم عارفين إن المراكز الصحية بشكل عام تم تقسيمها إلى قسمين، قسم اللي هو مختص للفحوصات والمرضى اللي خاص لمرضى الكورونا، والقسم الثاني اللي هو كان للعيادات والزيارات الاعتيادية والتطعيم. فأنا كان مجالي في البداية إن أقابل المرضى، أشوف إيش السيمتومز اللي عندهم، وعلى أساسه إن أقيم إذا بيحتاجوا إنه يروح يسوي فحوص أو لا. ومن بعدها أخذوني إنه رحنا إلى قسم الاتصالات وإدخال البيانات. طبعاً هذا القسم كان شوية مختلف، لأن كنا نضطر نبلغ المرضى ونخبرهم عن نتائج فحوصاتهم. طبعاً اللي كان طبعاً سلبي كان واجد يفرح، بس في نفس الوقت إنه لازم إنه نشدد عليه إيش معنى الحجر الصحي، خاصة إذا كان لا زال الأعراض عليه. واللي كان موجب كنا نفس الشيء نحاول نشدد على الحجر المنزلي. طبعاً هذا القسم ما كان واجد سهل، لأن كنا نضطر نتعامل مع مختلف الجنسيات طول الوقت، خاصة اللي كانوا نتائجهم بوزيتيف. كنا نضطر إن نتواصل معهم كثير، كنا نحاول نتصل فيهم، نطمن عليهم، نشوف إيش أفكارهم، إيش مخاوفهم. طبعاً في بعضهم كان عنده تساهلاته، فكنا نحاول إن نشدد عليهم ونفهمهم إيش الموضوع، يعني إن جدية الموضوع. فالحمد لله كان في تقبل كبير 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 صراحة من المجتمع، وما قصروا وقفوا معنا وقفة. والحمد لله عدى الموضوع لحد الحين كان بخير وسلام. أجازنا وإجا إجازة العيد وكانت الأمور حلوة، وعيدنا طبعاً بالبيت في أول عيد أنا وزوجي بس وبنتي كنا موجودين. إجا نهاية الإجازة على آخر يوم رسلوا لي رسالة إن بكرة راح تبدأين التأمين في مركز العمالة الوافدة للياقة المدنية والأمراض المعدية، طبعاً اللي معروفة باسم CDC اللي موجود في دارسين. هناك طبعاً راح أضطر إن أسوي العينات. طبعاً إحنا بعدنا ما كانوا مدربيننا على إن ناخذ العينات، في مجموعة دربوهم ومجموعة كانوا بعدنا جالسين ننتظر. طبعاً إجالي خوف أول ما قرأت هذه الرسالة، ما أخبي عليكم صراحة، لأنه أنا مثل ما قلت لكم أنا عندي بنت صغيرة، فكنت شوي خايفة عليها. بالنسبة لأهلي وأهل زوجي صار لنا تقريباً 3 شهور ما رحنا نشوفهم، فأكثر خوفي كان مرتكز على بنتي وعلى زوجي. جلست يومها أفكر وأحاتي، وفي نفس الوقت أدعي ربي. طبعاً الحمد لله رحت هناك أول يوم كان بعد الإجازة مباشرة. أتذكر إني أنا واقفة هناك مقابل سيارتي ومعي الكافي مالي، واقفة جالسة بس كذا أشوف على الباب. أدخل ما أدخل أدخل ما أدخل، ويعني في نفس الوقت حتى للحظة رجلي ما رضت أن تتحرك من مكانها. استهديت، نفست، جلست أفكر بإيجابية والحمد لله، وشوي شوية قدرت أدخل الباب. أول ما دخلت قابلت الطاقم الطبي وما شاء الله عليهم صراحة ما قصروا، أوجه لهم كل التحية. جلسنا تكلمنا سولفنا، شرحوا لي عن طبيعة العمل وكل شيء. رحنا بعدين لغرفة اللي هو إنه نلبس ثيابنا ولا نلبس عدتنا. طبعا العدة هذه ما غريبة علينا، لأن إحنا مع كل مريض قبل موضوع الكورونا وقبل كل شيء كنا مع كل مريض أصلا ضروري إن نلبسها، لأن مثل ما قلت لكم إحنا نتعامل مع الفم والأسنان واللثة واللعاب بشكل عام. فأي مرض ممكن ينتقل عن طريق اللعاب أو عن طريق أي شيء كنا إحنا معرضين له. فالعدة كنا ما شاء الله علينا والحمد لله متعودين عليها، والحمد لله الوزارة صراحة ما قصرت ووفرت لنا كل العدة بكل أشيائها. فكنا مغطين لو تشوفون الصور من رجلنا إلين رأسنا. اشتغلنا وأخذتني واحدة من الطبيبات ما قصرت، ودتنا نحن الغرفة على أساس إن نبدأ ناخذ العينات. وطبعا جلسنا نشوف من الشباك الباصات اللي جاية، الوفود اللي جالسة تنزل. سوري على الباب. انزين كذا هي جالسة تشرح لنا كيف نسوي وإيش نسوي وشلون نوقف بعيد شوي عن المريض، على أساس إن نحاول إنه كثر ما إحنا صح إننا لابسين العدة، بس هم نحاول إن نقلل مدى إصابتنا، خاصة إن بسبب هذه الفحوصات. طبعا الفحص هو عبارة عن فحصين، فحص ناخذ عينة من الفم وفحص ناخذ العينة من الأنف. فالمريض بأي شكل ممكن يكح، ممكن يعطس، ممكن يزوع، يتلوع، أي شيء ممكن. فإحنا هم معرضين إذا لا سمح الله صار واحد من هالأشياء. فكانت جالسة تشرح لي إنه شلون نحاول نقلل بحيث إنه نوقف شوي بعيد عن المريض لما ناخذ العينات. ما راح أطول عليكم. طبعا بدينا وأخذنا، والوفود اللي إجوا صراحة يعني أرحمهم كثير ترحمهم، لأن أولا كان عندنا اللغة واجد صعوبة اللغة. فهم أول ما يوصلون كان في طاقم معين يشيلوهم، يكلموهم، يفهموهم، يشرحوا لهم، يفحصوهم، يتأكدوا هل يحتاجوا إشعاعات ما يحتاجوا إشعاعات، ومن بعدها يجون عندنا. بدينا ناخذ العينة الأولى الثانية الثالثة. طبعا دوامنا كان من 9 إلى 4، وقبل أن نحس إحنا تقريبا خلصنا فوق 140-150 فحص. طبعا الوفود مساكين يعني مثل ما قلت لكم ترحموهم، لأنه يعني لا هم فاهمين إيش اللي صاير، خيفانين. في كثير منهم خيفانين حتى على أهاليهم واللي عندهم أطفالهم واللي عندهم كبار في السن معهم. فهذا شيء كنا إحنا نحاول نوجههم، نحاول إن نهديهم، نحاول إن نشرح لهم، والحمد لله. بس مثل ما قلت لكم أكثر جزء كان مخوفني من كل هذا بنتي وزوجي. فقررت إن لما أرجع البيت ما أدخل من الباب الرئيسي، أدخل من الباب الجانبي ومنه على طول على غرفة الضيوف. هناك طبعا يعني أحاول أعاقب نفسي، أبدل، أتأكد إني بإذن الله سالمة. رحت هناك وما أعرف كيف بنتي سبحان الله حست فيني، وما أشوفها إلا جالسة أسمع صوتها إنها جالسة تدق الباب بكل قوة. وحسب ما كلام زوجي قال لي إنها هي حتى حاولت إنها تصعد الدرج تدور علي فوق. إذا فجلست تطرق هذاك الوقت قلبي عورني كثير، لأني أنا ما قادرة أطلع لها، والبنت جالسة تصيح وزوجي هناك يحاول يهديها وهي مسكينة يعني ما فاهمة طبعا الوضع، عمرها سنة ونص إيش تفهم. فلما تأكدت إن أموري تمام وأموري أوكي وأقدر إن أطلع أقدر أشيلها، بعد كل شيء سويته، أول ما فتحت الباب هذاك الحضن اللي إجت تحضني إياه صراحة ما أقدر أوصف لكم الإحساس. شل مني كل الأشياء الأفكار السلبية اللي كانت فيني. طبعا ما أقول لكم إنه ما في خوف، كان في جزء بسيط من الخوف، لأن على قد ما إحنا نسوي طبعا لازلنا جزء بسيط منه بعدنا معرض للكوفيد، للفيروس. بس إحنا في النهاية نسوي اللي علينا ونتوكل على رب العالمين، والله الحافظ صراحة. ما بطول عليكم. طبعا مثل ما قلت لكم أنا هذه تجربتي، وإن شاء الله مكملين هناك. وصراحة أي واحد يريد يتطوع، طبعا هذا الوقت مثل ما قلت لكم إن المجتمع محتاج لأيادي مساهمة، المجتمع محتاج إن نتكاتف. فأريد أقول لكم إن الله يخليكم حاولوا إن تلتزموا لسلامتكم، لسلامة أهلكم، للي حولكم. طبعا لا تنسون حاولوا كثير تغسلون إيدكم بالماء الصابون أي وقت وكل الأوقات. وطبعا خليكم بالبيت، والله الحافظ إن شاء الله، والله يحفظ الجميع. السلام إن شاء الله.
طبعا شكرا للدكتورة إلاف ولجميع العاملين في الصفوف الأمامية لمواجهة فيروس كورونا. قصتها أكيد تتطلب يعني الموجودين في الصفوف الأمامية يعني ويتطوعوا لها. أكيد هذا الشيء يتطلب شجاعة، ونحن كثير فخورين فيكم، ويعني تحية لكل العاملين في الصفوف الأمامية، من دكاترة، من الشرطة، من أي شخص تطوع عشان يكون في الصفوف الأمامية لمواجهة فيروس كورونا.
Wow, that story that Dr. Elaf just said was just, it was so touching and so emotional and so personal. So I'd like to thank you for sharing your personal experience with us. Being a frontliner and putting yourself at risk of contracting the virus and just bringing it back home to your child and your husband, that takes a lot of courage. And thank you so much for doing this for your country and for your people. We cannot express how grateful we are. So thank you so much for sharing your beautiful experience, and Allah yahfadhik, and may God save you and bless you until the end of this journey. Back to you, Dania.
طبعا لكل اللي منضمين معانا نحب نشكركم مرة أخرى على انضمامكم في هذا الملتقى. غدا التعافي لغد جديد. الحين صار وقت الجلسات لجلسات نحن معك. طبعا عندنا 3 جلسات مختلفة، وأكيد أنتم من قبل وقت التسجيل اخترتوا الجلسات اللي حابين تشاركوا فيها، سواء في جلسة الوعي الذاتي اللي تديرها جناب السيدة ميا آل سعيد، وهي مرشدة حياتية في عيادة همسات السكون، أو جلسة المواضيع النفسية اللي تديرها الدكتورة جمانة العبدواني، وهي رئيسة قسم صحة الطفل في وزارة الصحة العمانية. والجلسة الأخيرة هي جلسة المواضيع النفسية للكبار مع الدكتور حسن ميرزا، وهو طبيب نفسي للصغار والكبار ومختص في الطب السلوكي في جامعة السلطان قابوس. بس حابة من المتحدثين في هذه الجلسات إنهم يضغطوا على إنهم يروحوا على الزر participants ويضغطوا على raise hand علشان ممكن يحطوكم في الغرف المنفصلة. أيضا للموجودين معانا، إذا حسيتوا أو شفتوا إنكم ما موجودين في الغرفة اللي المفروض تكون أو الجلسة اللي أنتم اخترتوها، ممكن أيضا تضغطوا على زر participants وتضغطوا على raise hand علشان يقدروا يخلوكم في الغرفة اللي اخترتوها.
And now we were going to move to the last part of this program of today, which are the breakout rooms, where you will have one-on-one discussions with the speakers there. And each breakout room will have about 4 speakers and a moderator. So the first one will be mindfulness and arts, which is the first breakout room, which will be invigilated by Sayyidah Mia Al-Saeed, who is a life coach at Whispers of Serenity. The second breakout room is healing in children, which will be held by Dr. Jumana, and she is and she is the head of child health at the Ministry of Health in Oman, and she holds a master's of public health and a focus on parenting and child health and a doctorate of philosophy in prevention of child maltreatment. She is a practicing clinician, international expert, and a speaker in child health, a researcher with publications, and an advocate for children. And last but not least, we have Dr. Hassan Mirza for the last breakout room, which is the Heal for Life. And this will be directed towards adults. Dr. Hassan is a consultant child and adolescent psychiatrist at the Department of Behavioral Medicine, at the Sultan Qaboos University Hospital. Also, I'd like to inform all speakers in these breakout rooms to raise their hand in the participant toolbar so that they could unmute you and turn on the video. Thank you so much. But before we go into the breakout rooms, there will be a short break, and we will be back shortly afterwards, inshallah.
التعافي بالنسبة لي مسؤوليتي.
Healing to me is readiness for an unpredictable life.
التعافي هو أن نتقبل ما مضى ونتطلع بإيجابية وثقة نحو القادم.
Healing is a broad concept to me, and it includes physical, spiritual, emotional, but really in essence it means being able to have the peace of mind and enjoying the simplest things in life.
التعافي هو أن أكون أقوى من قبل.
Healing is achieving acceptance.
التعافي كالفن يتطلب الوقت والمحاولة.
Healing is a process and the road to recovery.
التعافي بالنسبة لي مسؤوليتي.
Healing to me is readiness for an unpredictable life.
التعافي هو أن نتقبل ما مضى ونتطلع بإيجابية وثقة نحو القادم.
Healing is a broad concept to me, and it includes physical, spiritual, emotional, but really in essence it means
Assalamu alaikum. I don't know if we would have our individual chat room. And all I can see is this. Assalamu alaikum. So we're just waiting for a couple of more people to begin and for our speakers as well to arrive. عليكم السلام. خلاص يعني ما أعرف المسجات اللي تظهر هنا هل تظهر للجميع أو لنا إحنا بس فقط اللي في البريكات روم. حاليا إحنا 16 وبنبدأ إن شاء الله بعد ما المتحدثين يكونوا معنا في الغرفة. So any of the speakers, if you're here, please raise your hand so I can see you. معنا اليوم هاي سحر الدكتورة زكية. اوكي. Excellent. I'm wondering if the co-host can just confirm how many participants do we know roughly will be joining us today before I begin? And are we beginning now or are we waiting? We have 64. Excellent. Thank you. Is Let me check again the participants. Is Dina here? So we have, there are two missing. I'm supposed to have Dina Makki with me and Fatima Ihsan. I will just give the team a couple of more minutes. Let me just.
الحين فقط دقيقة وبيدخلوا. تمام؟
تمام. عزام معي لا؟
Yes.
Okay, cool. We are going to. Hi, Vania. It's so nice to see all of you here. I'm really excited for you to be here. كثير متحمسة إن أشوف العدد اللي موجود معانا ما شاء الله في الإيفنت الصباحي وحتى الآن. إحنا على 20 ومتوقعين كم قالوا لي 64. So we're expecting approximately 64 participants for mindfulness and art. We have 4 inspirational, amazing women with us today. And the talks will be in English mostly, but we'll try and give a brief of Arabic, inshallah, translation. فالمتحدثين معنا اليوم 4 نساء بالنسبة لي ملهمات وإن شاء الله بتستفيدوا منهم اليوم. معظم القصص اللي بيشاركوها أو المواضيع اللي بيتكلموا عنها باللغة الإنجليزية، ولكن بحاول بقدر الإمكان إنه أوفر ترجمة عربية أو أطلب منهم إنه يترجموا أو يلخصوا الكلام اللي يقولوا. فقبل لا نبدأ خلوني بس أتكلم عن أشياء مهمة بالنسبة لكم. إذا أنتم تحسوا إنكم موجودين في الغرفة اللي أنتم ما اخترتوها في البداية، تحت في البار، إذا ما أعرف إذا أنتم على لابتوب أو على جهاز النقال، إنه في مكان اسمه هنا Ask for Help. فAsk for Help هذا بينبه حد من الأدمن معانا الأخ عزام اليوم، بيساعدكم إن شاء الله. هذا الشيء خليني أترجم هالنقطة بعدين أكمل النقاط الثانية. So just to begin, we are going to okay, what was I saying? Ask for help. So in case you face any difficulties or you feel you're in the wrong room, this is not the room you chose to be in, you need help, all you have to do is either you're on a computer or if you have your phone device, you go to Ask for Help, and today we have Azan with us who will gladly assist you and put you in the correct room. I shall give you the agenda, inshallah. Just give me a second, let me go through the points that I need to share. Second thing I need to tell you is please feel free to use the chat room. Just as many of you are doing now, to message. If something resonates with you, you know, please share that with us, and your speakers, inshallah, will see that. In terms of questions that you will have to ask our speakers, which we will be able to speak to them, please wait until each of the 4 speakers have spoken. So either write it down or put it down in the chat, and when I open the floor to you guys, raise your hands and you can ask your question then. بالنسبة إن شاء الله فقرة الأسئلة، بإمكانكم إن شاء الله تسألوا المتحدثين أسئلتكم، بس ناوية إن هذه فقرة الأسئلة تكون في الأخير بعد ما ال4 متحدثات تتكلموا، بعطيكم المجال إنكم تسألوا، يا إنكم عندكم فرصة إنكم تكتبوا على الشات، ولا لما أقول عندكم الفرصة إنكم تكتبوا you raise your hand. في هنا شيء في الparticipants باليد يرفعوها وبتقدروا تسألوا أسئلتكم. زين آخر طلب
لأن بعدين في هذه الغرفة
آخر طلب لو سمحتوا إنكم تحطوا ميوت وستوب فيديو ما نشوفكم. ما نأثر. Okay. Can you hear me now? كنت أطلب منكم تحطوا تليفونكم أو أجهزتكم على النقال على الصامت سوري على أساس ما نسبب أي إزعاج للمتحدثين. If you can just keep your phones on silent and your microphones as well, so we do not disturb our speakers. بالنسبة للأجندة اللي سألني إن شاء الله مثل ما قلت لكم we have 4 speakers with us today. Dr. 𝗛𝗲𝗶 𝗕𝗲𝗆، we have 𝗔𝗳𝗁 𝗔𝗵𝗁, we have دينا مكي and we have فاطمة إحسان. بالنسبة للمتحدثات معنا الدكتورة زكية سيدة الدكتورة زكية ابو-سعيدي، سحر سلمانيا، دينا مكي والأخت فاطمة إحسان. فlet me know عزام لما أقدر أبدأ. المتحدثات كلهم موجودين و participants ما أعرف إذا بعدنا ننتظر زيادة ولا لا. أوكي، دينا موجودة، زكية موجودة، سحر موجودة، الأخت فاطمة. How are you feeling so far? Oh, you're here, Fatma. Okay, excellent. I guess we can start. So as I said at the beginning, the main topics will be shared in English, and inshallah a brief will be, hopefully, if there is enough time, given in Arabic. And I am really excited to be here with you today to speak about mindfulness in art. I think during this time of COVID-19, we've all become very mindful, and if not, then it's really important to become mindful and also to become creative. I don't know about you, but I'm cooking dishes I've never done before. I find myself reaching out to my journal and really documenting my thoughts and how I feel. And I'm really excited to introduce our first speaker. I'm assuming we can start. I know Dr. 𝗛𝗲𝗆 is here and is ready. So I would like to introduce our first speaker, Dr. 𝗛𝗲𝗆𝗆, who's a senior consultant in family medicine. She's a psychotherapist and hypnotherapist. She's currently practicing at Nine Center, and she is also an artist. So I'm really excited to hear what she has to talk about. Her topic today is mindfulness and art. Dr. 𝗛𝗲𝗆𝗆, تفضلي. Can we put Dr. 𝗛𝗲𝗆 here? I have somebody else on the. I'm unable to see Dr. Oh, there you are, Dr. Lovely to have you with us, Dr.
I cannot see myself on the screen, though.
Okay, Azam is working his magic.
Yes, please. Thank you very much, Saida Maya. I still cannot see myself, but I'll start by thanking you. And I'm really happy to be with you and with all the participants. I'd like to thank them for being here, and inshallah they will benefit and enjoy the talks. I cannot see myself on the screen. Is there
apparently they can see you, Doctora. Someone, Masha'il, says she can see you, but I don't know why you can't see yourself.
Is there something that I need to do?
Yes, on your device, if you go to the top, there is gallery view or there is speaker view. If you put gallery view, you should be able to see yourself. I don't know if you.
At the top?
Yeah. Right on my laptop, it's the top right corner. I don't know. It seems you're on a phone. And if anyone can help Dr. Zakia, please do. Because there's several ways. There's a speaker view and there's a gallery view. And now you should be on the screen. But apparently they can see you, doctor.
They cannot. All right. This is even more embarrassing because I'm playing with the phone trying to fix this. Sorry about this, but...
It says Andy is suggesting if you're on a phone, try swiping left.
Okay.
Thank you, Andy.
It says your video is stopped.
Azan, can you allow Dr. Zakia's video? Thank you. Is it better now, doctor?
No. It says done speaking and your video is stopped.
Now we can see you. I can now see your face.
Sorry, but I still cannot see. I cannot see anything.
But you can't see, probably because of your setting, but the participants can see you. But I think you're a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, because I don't know whether my, like you can see clearly, or is it like half of my face? Or
no, you're perfectly positioned, doctor. We can see you. I'll try.
Okay. Is there a way to fix this, or do you want me to start regardless? Because
I want you to be comfortable with whatever. Because if the participants can see you, that is fine. Somebody says they can't see you. Dr. Azan, if you can just assist Dr. Zakia in this, please. And I don't know if do you want us to come back to you? We should move on to the next speaker, doctor. Would that be okay, just to make the most of the time?
You can do that, but I'd like to know what is it that the reason why it's not working, so we can fix it.
All right. Did you try swiping it? Swiping the phone?
I tried. Okay. Is it okay now?
Yeah. Can you see yourself now?
Yeah, I can actually.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you everyone for being patient while we do these technical difficulties. It is our first time. And
thank you. And sorry about this.
Not a problem, doctor.
We haven't done this before. I have done conferences, but not this kind of conferences.
There's a first time for everything, isn't there?
Yeah. And this is one of the chances that, you know, that although the situation that we're all in is unfortunate, but we are learning new skills in life. And what I'm going to talk about today is a new skill that to some of you might not be new to others, but I hope I will also add some input into an area that is really widely present and talked about, and even scientifically researched, which is mindfulness. So I'm going to start now, Sayyida Maya. I don't know if you can all hear me.
Go ahead, doctor, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about mindfulness and art. I'll talk in English and then I'll give a brief in Arabic, because I know some of the participants are English speaking and most of you are bilingual, but I will still translate the main points at the end. So mindfulness and art seem like two topics, and actually two huge topics, but I'm not going to talk about art in general, and I'm not going to talk a lot about mindfulness in general. I'm going to talk about how the two are related and how we can use them together to help ourselves be calmer, improve our ability to cope and deal with anxiety in particular, and improve our mental health in general. So mindfulness means simply being in the present moment, in the here and now, with intention. And the word intention is important because we need to be aware when we are not in the present moment and have the intention to bring ourselves back to the present moment. Mindfulness is an old concept. It started thousands of years ago in the East, mainly in India, but it's been popular in the West for the last 20 to 30 years. And the reason is because they found that mindfulness can really have a positive impact on mental health. And it's been now used in combination with other techniques like cognitive behavioral therapy or art therapy. And there have been lots of studies, scientific studies on mindfulness. So when I talk about mindfulness or to my clients or to the public, they always say that it is easily said than done. And I agree from my own experience, because I also learned mindfulness and I practice it. And the thing that I found from practice, it is easily said than done because our minds are not used to be present in the present moment.
the things, especially when we're talking about psychological immunity or psychological well-being, is the idea of savoring the good moments, holding on to these good moments, visualizing them, remembering them, and the idea of gratitude. We're thankful and this and this happened. We're thankful to be in a home that has a playroom. We're thankful that the weather is kind to us. We're thankful that we have the food. So whatever we can be thankful of. And very often you'll see some of the kids have had experiences very different than what you expect. They might be happy to have their parents at home with them for longer periods of time.
موجودة كذلك على اليوتيوب وموجودة على النت، صفحات انستغرام كثير فنية ممكن تساعد أن تطلعنا من المود اللي هو إحنا طول الوقت نتابع الأخبار إلى أن إحنا نتابع صفحات فنية، نبدأ بروجكت جديد. هذا باختصار.
شكرا دكتورة.
العفو، إذا في أسئلة إن شاء الله نرد عليها في النهاية.
إن شاء الله. شكرا. Thank you so much, Dr. Zakiya, for that insightful way to looking at art and being mindful. I've certainly learned something from you today. Now we will be on to our next speaker, Azam, or let me check if we have any one of the co-hosts here to support us. I think nobody's here. Okay, we have someone here. Good. Thank you. Yes, so our next speaker is 𝗲𝗲. 𝗲𝗲 is a counseling psychologist with us at Whispers of Serenity. And today she'll be talking in English, and she'll be talking, her title will be Rebuilding Our Lifestyle in the Aftermath. So there you go, 𝗲𝗲, the floor is yours.
Everybody,
Hello.
Can you see me? Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you there, 𝗲𝗲, and thank you, Dr. Zakiya. I enjoyed your talk. So, hello everybody. I hope all you are well and safe. This is my pleasure to be part of this amazing team and this virtual platform. This is my first experience, and I think this is so amazing. So today I'm going to talk about building our lifestyle. I can't see myself here in the background, but it's okay.
Okay, if you're on a phone, I think you will have the same issue as Dr. Zakiya had.
Okay.
Why? I worked with Dr. Zakiya.
But you can see me, yeah?
Yes, I can see you. And I think if everyone else can see her, just let us know in the chat group that you can see her. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, they can see you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So today I'm going to talk about rebuilding our lifestyle in the aftermath. First of all, I would like to start it with a famous quote, which says, "It is not the strongest of the people that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most adaptable to the change." And I think this is so important, and this is so amazing to be adaptable to the change. It would help us a lot in difficulties and in challenges to be adaptable. During this lockdown, we have lost and missed so many things in our life. And one of them, which is so important and significant, is our lifestyle, or better to say, the way we lived before. If you ask me what is lifestyle exactly, I would say lifestyle is the typical way of life of individual, group, or culture. And our lifestyle is based on our type of personality. So we have different kind of lifestyle, like healthy lifestyle, religious lifestyle, spiritual lifestyle, artistic lifestyle, minimal lifestyle, and all of them are based on our own character, our own personality. It's all connected to our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, and our belief system. And it would be so good if our lifestyle be fitted to our type of personality. If we just remind ourselves that we are who can choose our lifestyle, and we are the one who can rebuild it, we are the one who can revise our lifestyle. So nowadays, during this pandemic, we definitely admit that our lifestyle have been changed. A lot of things have been changed. So what can we do right now? This is inevitable. No one asked our permission to change things, but inevitably, so many things have been changed. So what can we do? Should we be waiting for the days to come to get back to our previous condition? And we heard a lot during these days that when will we get back to the normal life? What is normal, really? Have you ever thought about the meaning of being in a normal situation? who says what is normal and what is not normal? Is it true that normal is exactly what you had before? The way you lived before is normal life? I don't think so. And I think if we try too hard to get back to our previous condition, to get back to our life as it was before, we will get disappointed soon because it is impossible. So I think we just need to focus on what we have right now and what we could have in future. So tomorrow is going to be a new day, and a new day can't be like yesterday. So the normal is going to be something different from yesterday and something different from today. Every day is going to be changed, and everything is changeable. Even us as a human being, we are changeable. And the